Well, here we are at the end of the RV Roadshow. I'm sitting in a little campground outside of Kirkwood. For any of you guys are from the California area that ski, Kirkwood is a pretty famous ski resort in California, and just finished with a 14-mile hike with my dog at the end of the RV Roadshow. And I was thinking on my hike, I should probably record something for a podcast. And because there's a fire pit right where I'm camped, I said, what would be good to record that a fireplace or campfire would help with? I thought about the fact that scotch, cigar, fire, middle of nowhere, beautiful. Okay, middle of nowhere. I'm about 100 yards off of Highway 88. Advice to my younger self. Over the last 3 to 4 years, I have had quite a number of epiphanies of what life means and people and etc. So I thought I would share that with y'all. You may get bored. It's not a typical one. It's not funny so much, but there are some things in here. So I figured I would start with what I think is the most important thing before I lose y'all. Because I know you're all going to go, oh, really, I'm out. No. The most important thing that I have learned, I say not infrequently anymore, when I'm at the office especially, but anywhere, that I wish my 53-year-old self could go back and tell my 43 or 33 or 23-year-old self. People are different. Oh, I know. Shocking. Everybody's different. No, we need to think about that in a little bit different way. Yes, people are different. Have you ever said, why can't she? Or, why can't my husband? Because they can't. It's a very common thing, and it took me 20 years of being a practice owner almost to figure this out. We all have different skills. We all have different passions. We all have different mental capabilities. We all have different physical capabilities. And just because it comes second nature or you can do it, it doesn't mean that everybody can. So let me give you some examples. I have been blessed with the ability to work 24/7, pretty much. Most people can't. It's a blessing. If you are one of these lucky people, if you're one of those lucky people that needs 4 hours of sleep a night, I hate you, because I need way more than that. But when I'm awake, I work pretty efficiently. Not everyone can. So if you've ever been there, why can't you just do that? And 15 years ago, when I was first training veterinary dentists and technicians, I'd be like, dude, it's easy. It's 20 degrees. And they just can't get it. Well, because it's easy for me. Doesn't mean it's easy for them. And it's partially easy for me because I've been doing it for so long. So everybody has skills. Everybody has things that they do well. Seiji, come here. My dog is cruising around. Come here, girl. Everybody has things that they do well. Everybody has things that they don't do well. And if you are blessed with intelligence, speed, a metabolism. I don't have a metabolism. Just because someone else doesn't have it doesn't mean that they're wrong and that they're bad. Because all the time, it's like, why can't you just get the roots out? Why can't you just do this? Why can't you? Yeah, it's because they can't. And sometimes they just don't wanna. And they can't be bothered. Yeah, that's people. And if you figure that's what it is, then you need to move on. But there's a lot of people that just can't. And I'm going to give you a really good example. This just came up. We're using iPads for a lot of our monitoring, our charting, dental charting, all that kind of stuff. It's wonderful. It's like a whole new world. Love it. It's so professional. Some people are techies. Some people are not. So I had this discussion with Adam. That is my IT guy. Been my IT guy for as long as I've been practice owner. And I was trying to help my technicians in Las Vegas to work their iPads. And I said, Adam, we need some help. And he came back and he said, Brooke, Robert, Dr. Furman, wrote a step-by-step thing with little arrows and everything about how to do this stuff. How to do it, step by step, how to do it. If you do it, it's right. It's idiot-proofed. Everybody can do it. It's 10 steps. If you do them, it works every time. It's easy. And I looked at it and I said, it's easy for you. It's easy for Robert. It's easy for somebody that's technical. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for them. I can write a 10-step thing on how to do a root canal. You couldn't hope to do it for 5 years. I could write, someone, and the other example is someone from Jet Propulsion's laboratory, JPL, a rocket scientist, okay, could write a 10-step thing about how to build a rocket. And someone from Caltech could build the rocket. I couldn't. So as you go through this life, Brooke and everybody else, not everybody has the same skills that you do. I can't run. I have like a 2-hour 40-yard dash. I do. I do. Some people don't. So there's somebody, an NFL draft person. Why can't you run a 6-second 40? Because I can't. So when you ask someone to think outside of the box, when you ask somebody to, clean up after themselves, I can't, by the way. Maybe they can't. I'm sure I could learn how to change the oil in my car, but I don't want to. So there's a little bit of I don't want to, and there's a lot of I can't. So next time you get exasperated by somebody not doing it the way you would do it, maybe they can't. So that's one. That's probably the big one. I think the other thing, at least as a practice owner standpoint, is if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. You are. In this day and age of all the things that are happening with the internet, if you're not expanding, if you're not moving on to the next thing, you're lost. Look at all of the brick and mortar stores that are going away. Some of them are doing great because they evolved. You've got to evolve. You can't be practicing, you can't be running your business today. You've got to be running your business in 10 years. Another thing I've learned, I learned this the hard way. You've got to communicate with your significant others and your friends. If they don't know, if you're having issues, if you're unhappy, you need to talk to them. Not 6 months down the line, not a year down the line, not when you're pissed off, not when you're walking out the door. As soon as you're like, I don't like it that you leave your clothes on the floor. I don't like it that you hang out with your friends more than you hang out with me. You need to talk about it. You need to talk about it early. I would be willing to bet that most relationships could be saved if you conversed earlier than later. Speaking of which, here's a big one. Don't avoid conflict. I hate conflict. I don't know how many people like it. Some do. Most don't. I hate it. Here's the thing, though. Avoiding conflict, all that does is push things down the road and makes you think about it longer. I'm going to give you two things. And again, I've been a practice owner. I've been a veterinarian. Veterinarians are one of the highest conflict jobs that you can have with clients, period, end of the story. Lots of suicides, lots of bad things happen out there because of the way that we're treated. Conflict sucks. But here's the problem. Come here, Seiji. If you avoid conflict, three things happen. Three things happen. Number one, you stress about it. You do. You stress about it, and you stress about it, and you stress about it, and you stress about it. You still have to deal with it. Still has to be dealt with. Putting it off doesn't help. It doesn't. All it does is delay it. Number two, and especially for you young veterinarians out there, if a client's upset, don't make them wait. It's only going to make them more upset. The best thing that you can do is call that client and communicate with them from the get-go. Don't put it off. You see that, call client, Mrs. Jones is upset, Fifi's not better, or Fifi died, okay? Call that client now. Putting it off is only going to make them worse. And I can promise you, 99.99% of the time, that conflict is not as bad as you're making it out to be. It's not. So if I had one thing, well, number one thing I would tell my younger self, people are different. Yes, we would love everyone to be the same way as we are. It would make life so much easier. But we're not. And you have to realize that we're all different. We all have different skills. But two, don't avoid conflict. Everyone does. We all hate it. But you need to meet it head on, and 99% of the time, it'll make it better if you do it now versus later. And speaking of that, clients, people, when they're mean to you, they're having a bad day, or they're having a bad life. What I have learned is that I'm just glad I'm not them. I'm just glad I'm not them. Because most of the time when people are being mean to you, because they're not happy themselves. And if you can deal with that and say, you know what, that sucked. She was you know what, at least you're not. You're in a good mood. So, that. There's a lot of talk about stopping and smelling the roses. That's okay. This isn't really advice to your younger self, it's advice to people. Stopping and smelling the roses is fine. Just don't stop too long. Because stopping and smelling the roses, resting on your laurels, people are passing you by. Last little thing, this is again isn't advice to my younger self, but it's stuff that I have noticed in my career, in my time, dealing with a lot of people. If you're not happy in a situation, change it. If you think you're underpaid, find another job that pays you what you think you're worth. If you can't find one, this means you're probably getting what you should be getting. So you need to look at yourself a little bit sometimes when you're not getting what you're wanting. And if you want a raise, go talk to your boss. What do I need to do? Do you get a raise or a bonus? But don't be in an unhappy situation. And I think that's probably the last thing I'm going to say tonight. If you're unhappy in your job, if you're unhappy in your relationship, fix it. Either fix it or leave. For a long time, and if any of you guys are in this situation, you know what it feels like. I was avoiding coming home, working late, doing paperwork, doing other things, traveling as much as I could, because honestly, I was unhappy in my relationship. If that's what you're doing, that's what you think your significant other is doing, you need to talk about it because someone's unhappy. So, advice to my younger self, realize that everybody's different. Appreciate their skills. Don't assume that because they're not doing something, it's because they don't want to. They may not be able to. You were blessed with certain things, so was I. Don't ever delay conflict. It just makes it worse. It does, and it makes you stress. Talk to your significant other. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Don't let things fester. Get it done now. So, I think that's about what I wanted to tell my younger self. But I do want to leave you guys with one little thought. If you do what you love, it's not work. I have spent my last 20 years working a lot. And people always say, you never wish you would have worked more. I love my work. I do. I love speaking. I love taking care of animals. If you don't love what you do, find something else to do. If you're passionate about what you're doing, it's not work. It's not. So find your passion, follow it. With a little bit of effort, you can make dreams come true. So, signing off from the pseudo middle of nowhere.